Sandra Lean has been a spokesperson for Luke Mitchell's case since around the time of his conviction in 2005. She has access to the case files and has written a book, Innocence Betrayed, based on information from these files. Since some transcripts from the trial have been made public, it's clear to see that there are some discrepancies between claims made in her book and by Sandra Lean herself online. One of these claims relates to the testimony of Luke's own brother. When the prosecution questioned his brother at the trial regarding whether Luke was in the family home around the time it was believed the murder took place, his brother could not place him there. He said he was watching porn on his computer and did not remember seeing Luke in the house. This became one of the main pillars of Luke's conviction. Luke said he was home making dinner at the time, but his brother could not say that he saw him, and he said he wouldn't have watched porn if he believed someone else was in the house. The spokesperson for Luke's case provides her own interpretation of this evidence, yet explains it to the public as fact. The following clip is from a recent interview with Hayley Comet, where Sandra Lean discusses the testimony.
So a lot of people ask, whenever I do the Luke case, people always say the one reason they always still think he's guilty is because of the change in the alibi from the brother. Can you explain that to us? Because obviously we're just seeing like what's in the media or what's on the documentary, but what is the actual truth of that?
Essentially, the police did to his brother what they tried to do with Luke, and that was try to break him. They wouldn't accept a word he said. They kept accusing him of lying. They kept saying it wasn't true. His brother was trying to say on the stand, he was trying to explain that at trial and say they wouldn't accept honest answers. They kept saying, we're not accepting that, we're not accepting that. The prosecution, the man who's married to our top legal person, without warning, slapped photos of Jodie's body in front of him. No warning. Bam. That's why we need the truth from you. And his brother fell apart. And I've seen the crime scene photographs. I defy anybody not to fall apart, having them thrust under the nose with no warning. And what happened after that is the prosecutor kept putting it to him. Could it have been that you were doing this? Is it possible that you were doing that? And the brother was agreeing in complete shock. He wasn't saying he did or he was. He was agreeing that he could have been. And then that has been, over the years, that has been turned in. His brother admitted he was watching porn and utter rubbish. He did not. He did not. He agreed with the prosecutor that it was possible.
Okay, that really does clear it up, because I've always thought, like, why would his brother change his, obviously, because it got Luke in trouble, so that makes a lot of sense.
First, let's look at the point the witness was asked to look at the crime scene photographs. Page 2047 on day 2 of Luke's brother's testimony shows the witness being asked to look at the crime scene photographs. The witness has already, prior to this, agreed that he was watching porn. We'll come back to that. The advocate depute gives the witness directions. I want you to look with me at production number 1. No, you don't need to open that for the moment, but you'll see that it's a booklet. Do you see that? The witness replies yes. I don't suppose you've ever seen that before, have you? He replies, no, I don't think so. Okay. It contains photographs, Mr. Mitchell, that were taken at the Roansdyke Path after the body of Jodie Jones had been found there. Do you follow me? He replies yes. Now I want you to look at photograph N in the booklet. Would you do that? He says right. Now I'm not surprised to see your reaction there, Mr. Mitchell, but I did see it. He replies, If we look a few pages further back in the transcript, we can see that the witness has already agreed to watching porn. On page 2043, he's asked, and does that then mean, Mr. Mitchell, that you were watching pornography on your computer that day? He replies yes. On the next page, we now know, because we've seen a record and you told us, that when you got home from work on Monday the 30th, you were watching pornography. The witness replies yes. Again, this is before the witness is shown the crime scene photographs. The timings that the porn was accessed on the computer was discussed in detail. It was established that porn had been open on the computer from 1655 until around 1705. At no point does the witness deny watching porn or even seem unsure. In fact, he agrees that he did and discusses it at several points over the 3 days that he gave his evidence. These are some notes from page 2137 onwards. The transcripts will be linked below. We also know, as you've told us, that you were watching pornography and we've discussed that. Yes. Would you have done that without checking to see if there was anyone else in the house? No. Okay, so it follows then, doesn't it, that you will have checked to see if there was anyone else in the house? The witness replies yes. And how would you do that? How would you check to see if there was anyone in? Either by calling or ken in through, I would have said hello, I would have called through. I can't remember if I popped my head in or not. Okay, but it looks as though you remembered doing that when you were speaking to the police. And he replies, it must have been yes. Okay, do we come then to where we were just a wee while ago, which is this. That when you went onto the computer and accessed the pornographic sites, you thought the house was empty. Yes. But of course, not just because that thought popped into your head from nowhere, but because of the fact you would have made some kind of inquiry. Yes. Page 2143 onwards. And bearing in mind what you'd been doing upstairs, if when you went down you realised that you hadn't been alone, what would you have thought? I'd have thought, oh, that was close. And if you'd come downstairs, seen Luke making a meal and thought to yourself that was close, then that would give you a particular basis for remembering that picture, wouldn't it? He replies, probably yes. Did you see Luke when you went downstairs after the internet session? I don't remember. Well, just think about it and bear in mind the discussion we've just been through. He replies, I genuinely do not remember seeing my brother. Day 3 of the witness testimony. Page 2159 onwards. Okay, but right from the beginning, right from the afternoon of 30th of June, the truth was that you had been watching pornography. He replies, yes. And that's always been the truth, hasn't it? Yes. You explained to me yesterday that you didn't tell the police that because you were embarrassed. Yes. Okay, but despite being embarrassed, that was nevertheless what you had been doing. Yes. And accordingly, you must always have known that that's what you'd been doing. He replies, yes. By the time the police were asking you questions on 14th of April last year, did you have an impression or opinion as to whether or not your brother was in the house when you went down after the internet session? The witness replies, when asked in that context, I don't think he was in the house. Okay, and is that what you told the police? Yes. Okay, and is that the truth then, Mr. Mitchell? That you didn't think he was in the house? I don't think so, no. Okay, and accordingly, when you went down after terminating the internet session, did you see him in the kitchen? I don't believe so.
He wasn't saying he did or he was. He was agreeing that he could have been. And then that has been, over the years, that has been turned into. His brother admitted he was watching porn and utter rubbish. He did not. He did not. He agreed with the prosecutor that it was possible.
The purpose of this video has nothing to do with the watching of porn itself. And it's not to make comment on the guilt or innocence of Luke Mitchell, but it is to highlight the misinformation being provided by the spokesperson for Luke's campaign. Members of the public who may not know much about the case are often told, read Innocence Betrayed or listen to Sandra Lean's interviews. If Luke really is the victim of a miscarriage of justice, there should be no need to twist or alter witness testimony or to speak on behalf of a witness without their permission to do so. Sandra wasn't at the trial and doesn't have relationship with this witness, yet is willing to speak on his behalf, providing the public with her own interpretation of events. Is this acceptable from someone who claims to care about truth and justice? Or is it concerning?